talking about one of the most practical and effective combinations in modern surveillance systems: active deterrence plus loitering detection. A lot of cameras today can record incidents, but these cameras are designed to help prevent situations from escalating in the first place. When you combine AI-based loitering detection, red and blue deterrence lights, built-in speaker and custom voice, full color low light imaging, you get a system that actively responds to behavior in real time. Now, before we get into the AI based products themselves, let's first talk about why this technology matters. Next slide. Traditionally, surveillance systems were reactive. Something happens, then later you review footage. Active deterrence changes that. These cameras can identify behavior in real time and respond immediately. And one of the most important AI features tied to that is loitering detection. The camera can identify when a person or vehicle remains in an area longer than expected. That could be someone lingering near a storefront, activity around dumpsters, people hanging around loading docks, vehicles sitting in restricted zones. And once the system detects that behavior, the camera can trigger flashing red and blue lights, voice prompts, push notifications, and even alarm responses. So instead of waiting for incidents, the system creates presence and pressure in real time. Now that we understand the technology side of it, let's look at the actual AI-based models that installer partners are deploying. Next slide. First is the 8 megapixel 4K model. This camera delivers very strong image detail while still maintaining full color performance in low light. You got a f1.0 aperture, warm light plus infrared, built-in deterrence lighting, microphone and speaker, and onboard AI analytics. So at night, you're not just getting visibility, you're getting usable identification footage. And then when you combine that with custom voice, flashing deterrence lights, and AI triggers, this is where the camera becomes interactive, not just observational. Now, for the customers looking for a more value-driven option, the 5 megapixel model has also become extremely popular. Next slide. The second model is the 5 megapixel version. This is a really strong value performance camera. It adds true wide dynamic range, excellent low light capability, and strong AI features. So this becomes very attractive for storefronts, parking lots, commercial entrances, and smaller business environments. But another reason these cameras have been gaining traction, especially in commercial projects, is flexibility. Next slide. These cameras are not locked into a closed ecosystem. AI-based active deterrence cameras are also being used with platforms like 3DI, DW Spectrum, OpenEye, and Gentek. So if a customer already has an existing VMS environment, you're not walking in saying, rip everything out and replace it. You can integrate these cameras into broader surveillance systems. So now you're not just selling cameras, you're selling flexibility. And that flexibility is exactly why installer partners are using these cameras in so many different real-world environments. Next slide. Now, let's look at some real deployments from installer partners. One of the most common applications has been fast food locations to deter late night loitering near side entrances, dumpsters, drive-through waiting areas. And the issue wasn't always major crime. A lot of the times it was lingering activity, employees feeling uncomfortable, customers avoiding the area altogether. So, the installer deployed active deterrence cameras focused on rear parking and side access areas. When the loitering was detected, lights were activated, audio warning was triggered, and notifications were sent. And what they noticed almost immediately was people stopped lingering. Now, that same concept applies really well in industrial environments too. So, let's look at that application for industrial and automotive yards. The main issue at these sites is after hours activity around parked vehicles, loading zones, and gates. So, before customers only discovered incidents after reviewing footage. With Loitering AI enabled, the system identified prolonged activity near restricted areas. And because these cameras are full color, they captured much more usable nighttime detail. And in the retail environments, the value becomes even more visible. So let's look at a retail strip plaza projects. Usually on these sites, you have shared storefronts, walkways, and after hours gathering activity. Installer partners use Loitering AI tied directly to active deterrence. So, with the right setup, the camera ignored normal traffic, but when someone stayed beyond the configured threshold, the system responded. That resulted in less lingering, less nuisance activity, and much stronger visible security presence. So, across all these projects, the pattern is very consistent. Detect behavior early, respond immediately, and discourage escalation. So, now let's talk about how to actually position and deploy these successfully. Next slide. Here's how to really win with active deterrence. First, don't just sell megapixels, sell response. A lot of customers understand cameras. What gets attention is cameras that react. So help them understand these cameras react even before they do. And just important as the camera itself is where it is, and just important as the camera itself is where you place the camera. So, second is position cameras where behavior develops, not just where incidents happen. Think about dumpster areas, rear entrances, loading zones, and side walkways. Now, once the placement is right, configuration becomes extremely important. So, the third tip is configuration, loitering activity carefully. You want the system reacting to suspicious lingering, not normal movement. Another feature that installers sometimes underestimate is custom voice. So, tip number 4 is use custom voice strategically. Simple messages like, "Attention, you are being monitored," are very effective. And finally, don't forget the value of full color itself. Deterrence is important, but if something happens, you still want usable identification footage. So, here's the takeaway. These cameras are not just recording systems, they are active response systems. Detect early, respond immediately, and create a stronger security presence before the situation escalates. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Zach from a Tech Squad. Zach, I give it to you.
Thank you, Austin. For that, everything that he covered, we'll go a little bit into more detail on the cameras, the AI settings, different features, deterrence, voice prompts, and like I mentioned, I'll cover all of that. So the first thing we'll do is we'll show how to add the cameras to the NVR, then do some AI configuration, go into a little bit more about loitering detection, custom voice prompts, and then lastly finish it off with deterrence. So as you can see here, we are on the NVR interface. And if we go into the configuration tab, we'll first see the channel page. So for the channel page, for our two active deterrence cameras that we are discussing today, it would be our 3155 5 megapixel turret active deterrence and our 3158 active deterrence model. So all we need to do is click on search. And then keep in mind, these cameras are already pre-initialized for this demo. So in the case where you may have your own camera, if it's brand new out of box, you may need to initialize it first if you have it on a PoE switch. But we went ahead and already done that. So all we need to do here is go ahead and look for the camera. So we have the first one here, 3158. We go and click on the checkbox. And then if we scroll down, we can find the other camera here, which is the 3155. So once we have those, we can just click on add. Username, we can leave default, and then we'll just put in the assigned password that was used for this. So now that the password and username has been assigned, you can see that they already populated. It will take a second or so for them to fully connect. And then these are on our demo outside, which you'll see shortly. So it looks like our first camera is already online. So this is our 8 megapixel. And then the channel number 2 is our 5 megapixel. So if you're adding in, I would like to also cover that. If you're plugging the cameras directly into the NVR will auto initialize it for you. There's no need to set any passwords or anything like that. You can have the NVR automatically assign the username and admin password for that camera. If you need to plug it into a PoE switch due to installation restraints, you can also do that here, and then you can customize your IP address. So we like to put all of our IPs that are on PoE switches on static. This way they don't change, just in case if the power goes out, the switch goes off. Once it comes back on, and we make sure that it has that same IP and doesn't change to avoid any conflicts. So once you have your IP set up, your password, your username, everything is all good to go, then you can go ahead and add it into the NVR. So now that we showed how to add the cameras into the NVR, we'll go a little bit into the AI configuration. So to do that, we'll go into Event, and then you can see here, you can select your channels on the left. So for the camera that we'll be working on today, it'll be our 3158, our 8 megapixel active deterrence model. And as you can see that there are many different AI features available. So you have your face detection, your human in vehicle, loitering, which we'll go a little bit more into detail shortly, enter and exit region, your perimeter intrusion, line crossing, object detection, and then your statistic analysis, such as your cross counting. This can be used for retail stores and see how many people are coming in and out of an entrance at a specific time. And then you have your heat mapping, your crowd density. Crowd density will essentially tell you how many people are in a specified zone, and it'll have a number up here in the top left of the camera. And then you could set like an alert if it goes over that number as well. You have your queue length to see how long the lines are, and then your rare sound, and then just your basic smart motion detection and video tampering options. You do have all of that, and then you can also link them to your active deterrence, set up on a schedule, and everything. So you have full AI customizable options in terms of the option you want to use, and scheduling, as well as your linkage. So can be done with any of our deterrence model cameras. And then secondly, we'll go specifically into loitering detection. So for loitering detection, if I default it's here. All right, so now it is defaulted. So what the first thing you'll see here at the top is loitering duration. So what that means is how long that person or vehicle, or non-motorized vehicle in this case, stays within that specified zone until the alarm is triggered. So we can have it from 0 seconds, so as soon as they enter, or you can have it up to 1800 seconds. And then from there, we can go ahead and let's just say we want to do it for uh, 24 seconds in this case, just as example. Then depending on the height of your camera, where it's placed, you may need to adjust the maximum pixel size. So let's say you have this a little bit closer to the ground and you want to do bigger vehicles like this box truck here. You may need to adjust the pixel size just so the camera can recognize it and be within its view, because what happens sometimes is during installations, this setting is changed and made really small. So for example, something like this, and then if a big truck comes by, the camera is only detecting objects that can fit within this box. So making sure that the pixel size is big enough for that object. So we can just max it out as an example, and then we'll go ahead and select all of our targets. And then what we can do is enable it, and that gives you the option to draw your area. So now that we have the option to draw our area, we can go ahead and do a bounding box here. So essentially this area here, we don't want any people to be hanging around, loitering. We don't want them anywhere in this area. So now that we have that, we can just go ahead and save it. So now the settings have been saved. We can set this for a schedule. Let's say we just want them to be active outside of business hours. So we'll have it from, let's say, 6 p.m., starting at 6 p.m. up until 6 a.m. So the blue that you see, that is when the loitering detection will be active. So we can go ahead and click on apply to save it. Now we can do the alarm linkage. So with the alarm linkage, this also ties into the alarm deterrent setup as well. So the first thing we'll do is set up a siren. So just click on enable, and you do have two preset options available here that you can choose from. And if you click on enable, you can also change the siren level and the duration. So you can have it from 5 seconds up to 180 seconds. And you can also set it on the same custom schedule as well, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So you go ahead and just click on apply there, and now your siren is set up. Now for your warning lights, which is your red and blue active deterrence, same thing. Go ahead and click on enable for the checkbox, click on the setting, click enable the checkbox on the warning light. You can adjust your duration, and then you can also apply your same schedule through here as well. So that would cover the active deterrence part. And now we'll go into the custom voice prompt. So let's say that you don't want to use the siren for this specific camera in your use case. So what you can do in substitute, I should say, instead of the siren, you can go into alarm, click on voice prompt, and then for voice prompt here, you can upload your custom file. So it says import an external file. So if you click on import, it'll bring up your file folder. Either if you're doing this on the NVR, you just need to plug in a USB with the file preloaded on it. If you're on computer or VMS or anything else, just make sure that you have the file saved in a folder that you can find it. So once you do that, you click import, and then your file will be saved here. The other option that many customers or in our partners like is the option for text to speech. So you have your text to speech, then you have your languages. So you have many different languages that you can choose and want in this case. So you choose your language, then your file name. So we'll just name it demo. Click on that. And then for the text, we can say demo testing. So we'll just put demo and then testing. Okay, and then click on import. So as you can see, it was imported successfully. And now if we go into our voice files here, we can see demo. So with that, now what we'll do is we'll go back into event, go back to our camera. In this case, we'll go back to loitering, make sure it is enabled. So now it's good to go. And then we go into alarm linkage. And rather than enabling your siren, you'll want to enable your voice prompt. So click on the checkbox, click on setting, then you will have it activate into the camera. So you'll have two options, local. So what local means is if you have your NVR with the HDMI cable to a TV or monitor, you can have the voice prompt play out of there as well. So that will happen. That happens if you have that checked. Otherwise, you can click on channel and the voice prompt will play out of any channel that you select for that camera. Then you can go ahead and click on the voice prompt you made. In this case, it's demo. You can set a custom time on when you want it to activate. So you can link this up with your AI schedule. And then the duration. So how many times that voice prompt will play. So you can do it just for one time or play up to 10 times. So again, once you have all that set up, just make sure your warning light as well, and then click on apply to save all of those settings. So all the settings have been saved. So now what we covered is how to add in the camera to the NVR, how to set up a custom IP address, initialize it. We went over the different AI features that are available in the camera. We covered the loitering detection setup, your voice prompt, your scheduling, and active deterrence features. So for today's demo, that would cover everything. And now we'll take it back to Austin over here for our FAQ and Q&A session.
All right, thank you, Zach. That's what we wanted to cover today. Let's get into our live Q&A portion. While you post the questions in chat, let me share some frequently asked questions for our installer and integrator partners. So here we go. List off your questions, and I'm going to get on with mine. Question number one that I have is, can deterrence be customized? Yes, lights, voice prompts, notifications, and triggers can all be adjusted, just as you just saw Zach there do just a moment ago. Question number two that I have is, do people actually notice the deterrence? Absolutely. The lights and audio responses immediately changes the presence perception. Now, question number three, does it create too many false alerts? Not when configured properly. You shouldn't have any false alerts. Some here and there, because no technology is perfect. Nothing's 100%. But 9 times out of 10, 99% of the time, you shouldn't have any false alerts at all once set up properly. Question number four, can I turn off deterrence? Yes, you can turn off deterrence. You can just have white light deterrence if you want to, or just have no deterrence at all. It's all configurable. Question number five that I have, can I talk down live through the camera? Yes, you can either play a recorded message or just speak out from the camera speaker directly via the VMS or mobile app. And that'll kind of cover top 5 freaking questions I get all the time. and we'll just wait for a couple more to come in here. So do you think there's anything I missed, Zach?
No, I think that covers. I mean, in terms of the frequent asked questions, usually it's always like you mentioned. Can I turn off the deterrence? Because sometimes there may be installations that are inside of offices or just quiet areas. So a lot of times, our partners want to either turn off the white lights, the red and blue lights, or even the siren. Which I would also like to mention: the red and blue lights and the siren are off by default out of box. The only thing that is enabled out of box is smart illumination. But either way, like I mentioned, since they are turned off, you can leave them off, you can turn them on. It really just depends on your scenario and what your client wants in for their business, for their home, or for their installation.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I'll give it another minute. If there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and conclude very soon. All right. Also, if you can't post in the chat, feel free to call us at 626-563-6001. We'll be able to answer your questions via phone. Can I talk down with the cameras? Yes. Like we said before, you can either play a recorded message or just speak out from the camera speaker directly via your mobile app or your VMS. All right. Well, like always, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss one of our Friday live streams. Take care, and we'll catch you next week.